I just want to acknowledge you and commend you for the fabulous photographic display of flooding that's on display at the Cedar Rapids Museum when we were touring the state with the speaker and had an opportunity to see the photographic evidence of the devastation, especially in your readership area. It was very impressive, and I know it made an impact on her, so thank you. We'll now move on to testimony from our witnesses, and for all of the witnesses, this is just a general reminder that you will be allowed 5 minutes to deliver your opening statements. There is a light display in front of you, and the light will go on with 1 minute remaining. The yellow light will come on, and when your time is up, the red light will come on. So you'll have a short amount of time to wrap up your remarks, but your written statements will be included in the committee's record. So even if you can't get to everything that you've brought with you, we will have a record of that will be part of the committee proceedings. We'll begin with our first panel. And at this time, it's my privilege to introduce the Honorable Jovita Carranza, who is the Deputy Administrator of the Small Business Administration. The SBA is the primary federal agency whose mission is to aid, counsel, assist, and advocate for our nation's small businesses while strengthening the economy. Prior to joining the SBA, Ms. Carranza worked for UPS, where she served as Vice President of Air Operations. And I just want to thank the Deputy Administrator personally for her efforts in visiting the state of Iowa. I can tell you that your presence there was a reflection of your personal interest in what was happening to devastated homeowners and small business owners in my state. We greatly appreciate that, and I will just give you advance warning that none of the questions that come out today are any way a reflection upon you or your commitment to making sure that the agency is accountable and doing what it can for the people in Iowa. And please share your opening remarks.
Thank you, Congressman Bailey. Good morning, Chairman Braley, Ranking Member Davis, and members of the committee. Thank you for inviting me to discuss the Small Business Administration's work to help the victims of the Midwest floods. While SBA is best known for work with entrepreneurs and small businesses, but when disasters strike, we provide critical pieces of the national recovery effort. This mission allows us to help those in desperate need, and from my personal experience, it's one of the most important things our agency does. After the Midwest flooding, I personally visited the area 3 times as then acting administrator of SBA. I saw the devastation firsthand, but I also saw how SBA and indeed the entire federal government had learned from the painful lessons of 2005 hurricane season. These lessons have led to reforms that have dramatically improved our performance. Of course, this is little comfort to those whose homes and businesses were destroyed. The speed of our response and the resources we deployed can't undo the damage caused by nature. But in assessing the response to the Midwest floods, I think it would be helpful for the committee to contrast the situation in 2005 with our current response. To put this in perspective, the goal for processing a home loan before Katrina was 12 days. As SBA grappled with Katrina applications, the actual time needed stretched to 90 days. Today, the goal for processing a disaster home loan is 10 days, but in responding to the floods, the actual time has been 4.7 days. Before Katrina, the goal for processing a business loan was 17 days, but in the hurricane's aftermath, the actual time needed was 70 days. Today, the goal for processing a disaster business loan is 16 days, but the actual time is 9 days. The goals are more demanding, but SBA's performance is exceeding them, a testament to our reforms. Moreover, these efforts continue. On August 4th, SBA introduced an electronic loan application, and while not available initially for the Midwest flood, it's currently in use and capable of receiving 5,600 applications per hour. In financial terms, as of September 21, SBA has approved over 7,140 loans for more than $358 million. Of these, more than 6,260 are home loans totaling more than $257 million. 855 are business loans for more than $98 million, and 28 are economic injury loans for $2.4 million. More specifically, in Iowa, more than 3,450 loans have been approved for $230 million. This includes more than 2,880 home loans for $150 million. 541 business loans for $78 million, and 16 idle loans for $1.9 million. The total amount of these loans is nearly double the $112 million issued after the 1993 Iowa floods. Beyond financial help, SBA also provides technical assistance and coordination with state and local officials. On June 24th, SBA opened our Business Recovery Center in Cedar Rapids a week before the crest. Co-located with FEMA's Disaster Recovery Center, it allows businesses to work with our staff to learn about recovery programs, receive counseling, and get face-to-face answers to their questions. At our peak response, which occurred on June 30th, SBA had 194 staff working from 67 centers in Iowa with coverage over 81 counties. To publicize the help available, communications specialists from our Office of Disaster Assistance provided more than 29 TV, 34 radio, and 62 newspaper interviews. Also, SBA officials have made more than 60 visits to chambers of commerce. On the coordination front, SBA participates in FEMA's Interagency Long-Term Community Recovery Task Force, and SBA is working with the Iowa Rural Development Council and the Rebuild Iowa office. This vigorous response is possible because of our efforts to improve disaster response after the 2005 hurricane season. Today, by applying lessons learned, SBA's Disaster Assistance Program and our sister federal agencies have overhauled the response protocols, and these improvements are seen across the country, including the Midwest region. And while that is a brief of our reforms, now I'd like to describe implementation of the disaster provisions in the 2008 Farm Bill. A number of these were already in operation, and we welcome their codification. Specifically, we're talking about the Disaster Response Plan, regular reports to Congress, and other reforms instituted by SBA. For those provisions of the Farm Bill that augmented our efforts, SBA has been working to implement these features as a part of our overall disaster response plan. To date, the following have already been implemented. Non-collateralized loan limits for physical disaster loans have increased to $14,000 from $10,000. Loan caps for businesses have increased to $2 million from $1.5 million. Use of net earning clause in the first 5 years of repayment has been prohibited, and nonprofit organizations are now eligible for economic injury disaster loans. In closing, thank you for the opportunity to testify. As I mentioned, I visited the area 3 times, twice with you, Mr. Chairman, seeing the damage firsthand. I also had the privilege of traveling to the region with Secretary of Commerce Carlos Gutierrez. I met with Iowa Governor Chet Culver, Cedar Rapids Mayor Kay Halloran, your former colleague Jim Nussel, your colleague Congressman Dave Lobsack, and other state and local officials. I appreciate the long-term consequences the floods will have, and I welcome the opportunity to answer your questions.